we are fresh with a PH out of our first King Gizz and the Liz Wiz show. And we've decided to bring in a third opinion.
Right.
Who's basically in the exact same situation as us.
Fishhead,
long time.
First Gizz show.
And we were together. So we figured,
some of the time.
We figured the guy might have some opinions or memories that we're missing.
Definitely.
And so it's always nice to have a third opinion.
To sanity check. Our Gizzard hot takes.
Yeah. So we've brought in our near and dear friend, Sean Friedland.
Hey guys.
Are you there?
Happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Of course. It's a pleasure having you to spill all your beans on the whiz. Gizz.
I got a lot to spill.
Good. So just tell us a little bit about your background in terms of your experience in the jam band world. Have you seen Fish? Obviously,
have you seen Fish before?
We've seen Fish together a few times.
Yeah, seen Fish probably. I'm in the hundreds, which is definitely grew up doing that. Dad's a big Deadhead, so had tickets to see my first Dead show in '96, a week after Jerry died. So that's unfortunate.
Wow.
But yeah, I mean, grew up definitely on the headier side of the jam scene with kind of more southern spins on jam rock, the Allman Brothers, bluesier with the Dead. Grew up in Colorado, so a lot of String Cheese Incident,
Oof.
A little bit of Widespread Panic. I really kind of wet my palate with the jam scene, but that really evolved into Fish as we got into 16, 17, 18 years old, and have been seeing them ever since. So seen tons of shows. Obviously love the variety that they bring to the scene, and kind of the silliness and the uniqueness and like the kind of unique language that they've spelled out over the years, which is something that everybody said that Gizzard brought to the table as well, which is one of the things that I was most excited to see outside just the music, kind of the way that the fans communicate with the band and interact with the band, which I thought I'd love to get your guys' take on it all, but I thought it was pretty cool to see. I haven't really seen an energy like that in a long time.
Yeah, creativity and fun, or whatever the words you said, are definitely going to be themes, because, boy, it was thick in all of that.
Yeah, my initial impression right off the bat, I mean...
Before we get there?
At the show.
Like, they're on the stage.
Like, the introductory phase for me as a young human into Fish was very similar to the introductory phase with Gizzard. I cannot listen to their recorded music. Like, I can put it on, and after like 10, 15 minutes, I'm like, what the fuck is this? Change it. And that's kind of how I was with Fish initially. Like, I would get a tape from a buddy, and like we'd put it on, and they'd be in the middle of like a jam, and I'd be like, what the fuck is this? And then I saw them, and I was like, oh, that's what this is. Because when you're there in person and you feel the energy and you see them and how they're behaving on stage, it adds so much more to just like hearing it on a scratchy tape.
It only makes sense in person.
And it makes way more sense. Like, people have sent me King Gizzard stuff that I've listened to, like some 18-minute song that was like, okay, this is cool. But then it goes to the next track, and I'm like, okay, I'm trying to like get some work done here, and I can't listen to this. And then the same thing happened when I went to see them. I was like, oh, okay, now I get it. And it's what everybody's been saying.
You gotta go see them.
You gotta go see them. And I think that it worked out really well. And at the same time, their whole personality, like their energy on stage, harkens back to Fish's early energy, where they were just doing shit that was out of whack that if you knew, you knew, and if you didn't, you're like, whoa, that's cool. Do it again.
Totally agree. They're all over the place, those guys. They have like all this energy, all these ideas. You know, the guy's playing the flute 1 minute, he's dropping samples the next, he's shredding some sort of heavy metal guitar over his head the next. They're kind of running around the stage. It was so entertaining, and I agree that it's like early Fish. Fish doesn't really do it much. Every now and again, we get fishmen running around, you know, doing something silly, but like barely. But like, you know, Fish had the rotation jams, and they had the vacuum, and they had all these things.
Big ball jam.
Exactly. Same vibes, different execution completely.
Yeah.
But same vibes. Just like, how silly and fucking weird can we be? And like, let's just see if people think it's cool or not.
Or just don't give a fuck. We're going to do what we want. And
Hell
if people
yeah.
like it, great. Come on back and see us again.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. The level of, like, my initial take on these guys was like the first 12 minutes they were on stage, it almost felt like it was like a parody of a band.
Mm-hmm.
And then they kind of flipped like out of that initial, you know, kind of like cool spaghetti Western thing that they were doing into a little bit of, you know, heavier metal. And I was like, holy shit, these guys are extraordinarily authentic. Like, this is who they are. And their fans love them for this. And like, I know there's like, you know, the common trope amongst Fish fans, and not to make this like a Fish comparison, you know, pod, but like, you kind of always say like, you have to be there, you have to see it. Cause you're right. If you throw someone, even like, you know, a live, you know, YouTube video of a 30-minute tweezer that doesn't like Fish, they're going to be like, all right, there's some cool parts, but like, what the hell is this? But if you're standing in the arena, you're going to be like, that was awesome. That's what everyone kept saying to me about Gizz. And like, sure, like the music was way less melodic than listening to like a lovely Allman Brothers jam. And it, even the live stuff, Jack, like, you know, I agree with you that you kind of have to be there and feel the energy, and it's hard to listen to on tape. But when you're there, it like completely makes sense, and it captures you in a way that I really haven't felt, you know, since I was like a younger kid in the midst of like a really good Fish second set. And I think it's because they're so extraordinarily authentic. They truly don't give a fuck what the audience thinks about them, but the audience happens to just absolutely love them, which was super cool. I mean, it was so unique, and the energy was pretty unmatched, time and time again, no matter what they were playing. And they were playing some weird stuff. It was cool.
Yeah, like weird stuff, and like heavy, and like stuff that's not in my core wheelhouse, you know. And that's why, like, both of you guys have said, it's, you know, you listened to him before, everyone's talking about Gizz, you got to go see him. Okay, fine, let me listen to it. I don't know about this, you know. I remember before the show, we had a pretty big crew kind of link up before the show, and I wasn't the only one there being like, I'm kind of nervous. You know,
Totally. I felt the
can
energy.
make it 3 hours through an epic set. Like, I don't know what's going to happen. I fully was worried that I wouldn't get it. And my experience was just the opposite. Exactly what you said, Sean, that it was like, it just was so engrossing. Like, again, playing music that's like not core to my wheelhouse, like getting super heavy. And it just like worked live. Like, I was just like, wow, these guys are so good. Whatever this is right now, I like it.
Yeah, it was different, you know. And like, I know we don't want to go down this path too quickly, but like, think about
You're going
the other jam bands that are out there that are like, you know, becoming popular. They're sticking to like this formula that has been laid out, that like, if you do this and you're playing here and we get you on this radio station
and you play Hampton
and you know, like you guys do like this tour where you're,
and there's going to be rail lizards,
yeah, like if you
and
guys
posters,
like, you guys just like gotta follow this map and shit's gonna work out. Whereas like King Gizzard and Lizard Wizard, just from their name, like, we don't give a fuck about a map. Even if we're playing in a garage, we're going to do it exactly the same way. Mm-hmm. And if you want to come stand in the driveway, sure. If you don't want to, then we're still going to play, you know? And like, I think that authenticity, at least for me, provides so much more, even if every note of that music is not something that I would listen to at home. It's an experience. And that's how I think super successful jam bands over the course of, you know, the last 70 years have been successful. They're not doing it how the record company or their manager is telling them to do it. They're just doing it and being consistent and completely inconsistent with what they do because that's what they want to do. They're not following the formula. They're just like fucking flying by the seat of their own, the sound of their own drum. And I think that people recognize that and are attracted to it. Now, there are people recognizing the formula because it seems to attract people in as well. I just don't think that it is as attractive in the long run. You know, like I can't wait for King Gizz to come back to LA.
Totally. And I think that even like that kind of like refusal to follow the like mainstream jam band formula like extends into their music as well. Like I don't know about you guys, but when I really, it might be a function of the fact that I don't know their catalog that well. But when I think about that show, it was like almost orchestral in a sense. Like when you go to see the Cleveland Symphony, you know, they're playing music for 90 minutes straight and it's beautiful and it has peaks and valleys and you kind of go on this little journey with them and you don't really know when like one concerto started and the next one stopped unless you're like a real expert. It's kind of the way I felt with them. Like I looked at their set list the day after. They played 24 songs, but there's very few instances. Yeah, none. Like it almost felt like you strapped in, put on a seatbelt and they were just playing. It wasn't like, again, not to like step on the toes of other emerging jam bands, but if you go see Goose, for example, like they're going to play a beautiful song and then there's going to be a chorus and then they're going to peak up a jam and everyone's going to dance and it's going to get, you know, high and everyone's going to be super pumped and then they're going to end it and then they're going to do it again. Rinse and repeat. Totally. And like Gizzard had some crazy peaks, but it's not like you really knew when the songs were starting and ending. They just kind of kept playing and running around the stage and changing instruments, but it almost felt like it meshed together so uniquely that I honestly can't even explain it. And it speaks to their extreme talent as musicians. But I you know, kind of hearkening back on what Jack just said, like, I do think that was so unconventional, so brave. And it's either going to not work at all because it just sounds weird or they can't play the music, or it's going to be completely game changing. And like, you know, I don't want to get too hyperbolistic, but I definitely would lean towards like completely game changing at this point. After seeing them once, I don't know. I don't think it was until the end of the show that I realized how good it was because it almost felt like this one long concerto that you had to see the end of to really understand. I don't know, that's just kind of like my rant there, but I wonder if you guys felt similarly or how you kind of felt from like musically about what you witnessed.
If you had told me they played 4 songs, I would have believed it. And yeah. I remember checking the set list and people were like, wow, they played 24 songs. They rocked the Hollywood Bowl for 3 hours. I was like, I am not aware that there was 24 individual songs, but I know that really from the first moments I was entertained and it was a spectacle to behold. And I'll tell you this, I didn't want them to finish. And like, I've been to shows where I look at my watch in the middle of the second set sometimes and I go, oh God, we have 45 more minutes of this. I'm not naming bands, okay? But like, because it's a rinse and repeat, or it's just like some deep cut jam that's really not going to take you to, you know, over the moon and you're just like, I got 15 more minutes of this noise. I was so enthralled the entire time with whatever they were doing. I couldn't take my eyes off it. It was like I agree that I am definitely leaning towards the groundbreaking end of it. But like, it does occur to me, could I see a 3 or 4 day run? Do I want to go on Gizz tour? I don't know if my answer is yes to that.
I agree. I mean, it is a spectacle. It is enjoyable. I could maybe see them like 2 out of 3 nights,
Mm-hmm.
you know, or like 3 out of 5 nights in the same place, or maybe in 2 different places. I'm not against it because you're not seeing the same show twice. You know, they're going to be playing completely different shows on both nights. Now, one knock I do have on them, and you guys maybe looked at it a little bit differently, was that like you couldn't tell that they played 24 different songs. Well, does that mean that a lot of their songs sound exactly the same?
Well, I was wondering, okay, about
that's
2
what-
shows in a row, they're all going to sound the same. But then do people who go to a Fish show say they all sound the same? I could see that same answer being true.
And I think a lot of people said that about the Grateful Dead too.
Yeah, all the songs sound the same.
Yeah.
A lot of the songs sound the same. That's their style. You know?
I think that was also a function of them playing such a long show where they really did. My understanding now, kind of like talking to some of our friends who've been to more shows than us post show, is that there was that tranche of music in the first set, probably a good 50 minutes that was just like straight metal. And I agree, a lot of those songs sounded the same to me. But I think given that they had the luxury of playing for 3 straight hours, they really wanted to, showcase a lot of their new, I guess a lot of that was from their newer album. But I do feel in the second half of the show, even though it highlighted a lot of different genres of music, the songs started to sound less the same to me. I still didn't understand when one was starting and when was ending because they were all kind of bouncing off each other so well. But yeah, there was that one. The only time, to your point, Fraser, that I like looked down at my watch was at the very end of that like metal section in the first set. I think that's when I went to buy a sweatshirt because I was like, all right, I think I need a breather. Like, what the hell is going on here? Like in a good way, but I was like, this is wild.
I think we saw you out there.
We ended up
Yeah.
there
Oh
at the
yeah.
same
Yeah.
time.
We
I
were
think
there.
we did the same thing.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm going to go see what's up out there because, yeah, it was a lot of metal, and metal's not really like my wheelhouse.
Well, one thing
Yeah.
I liked about that too is like I don't know their music, so like if they're busting out like the Harpua-esque situation,
You don't know.
and I'm taking a piss, I'm like, well, I don't know.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
okay. It's like feels a little bit freeing, Don't
Totally.
know the music, can like walk around, see the sights, get the vibes from the crowd. It was a cool experience. I like that.
I also think with regards to like the 3-night run thing, and I'm completely in agreement with you guys, it's like that's just a lot to take in 3 nights in a row. I think I'd be content seeing them like 4 times a year, like once a quarter. They're, I could check them out. But I also think, and I could be wrong here, and I'm sure someone who listens to this that loves Gizz will blast me, but I think they typically play like one set 90-minute shows. Like so
I think
if
you're
that,
right. They play like shorter.
So if that's the case, it actually it wouldn't be too crazy to see them. Yeah, maybe like 2 out of 3 nights, because what we saw was really a marathon. And I think doing what we did twice in a row would be extremely difficult. I mean, that was a lot of music straight when you don't know the catalog and you're really, entrenched in a pretty serious undertaking. But yeah, I'd be curious to see what that band is like playing 80 minutes hard in like the Terragram Ballroom or something cool like that, with a lot of energy indoors. It'd be pretty wild.
It would be. I feel like hearing them outdoors was very manageable, in terms of like the treble and bass like hitting you. I've seen some heavy metal shows, and that didn't give the full heavy metal vibe.
No.
Because they don't give off that heavy metal, like dressed in black, like raging up there.
No, it wasn't angry.
No, it was all like just weird. It was just weird. It was just weird. And
It was so weird.
So good.
Someone said when we walked out, like the one big takeaway I have from this show is that the name of the band, King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard, makes so much sense now.
Totally.
And I was like, that is so correct.
It does make sense.
Yeah. Like they're the most aptly named band in the history of rock and roll. It means nothing and it's weird and it's so many different things, but it's so right.
It just seems like it's like a group of guys, like in their late 20s, like they're all best buddies. They're all up there like doing their own thing, having the best time. Like they just give off this like aura of like, this is fucking awesome. We're having the best time. Like, you guys want to hang and like listen to this and like,
Yeah, like, do you guys want to come hang, listen to us play?
yeah,
Yeah.
like I'm sure that that's how it started. Like they're just playing like random fucking parties and shit in Australia, and people were like, these guys are weird, but like it's fun hanging out with them. You know,
Yeah, like we should do that again sometime.
yeah.
So like musically, I mean, I had such a great time. But like, you go to a Fish show, right? You want Fishman to be locked in. You're waiting for Mike. You know, you want all sorts of his stuff. You're expecting, you know, Trey to just be like the world's most intricate guitar player. You want Paige to be like, you have so much expectation. I didn't have any expectation, and I don't. I mean this in like a not a bad way at all, but you know, none of them are like, we are going to be the preeminent musician of our like of the harmonica, you know, like the guy that was on the harmonica and then on the keys and the guy on the flute and then he's on the electric guitar and the other, like, they're definitely more generalist in the sense that like they're just switching things up, they're running around, they're coming back to play songs, like because like I remember that during the Dripping Tap he was like late and like racing back to like push a couple keys on his keyboard. Like they're not expecting of themselves this perfection.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like this infectious enthusiasm and energy that was like so cool that, you know, I think other jam bands in this space right now, I guess it's Goose is probably who we're talking about. You know, they have this expectation of perfection, I think. Again, you know, that Fish is certainly laid down. And I think that they're just like really, you know, some of the formula, you know, formulaic and expecting, you know, people expect jams and they expect peaks, and their fan base, like every week is like, this is the jam of the year. This is the jam of the year. And then every venue they go to, they seem to name like one of their songs after the venue, you know, like the Tahoe Tweezer or whatever. Mm-hmm. It feels like every time Goose plays, they have like a song named after the venue. And it's like, people are just, everybody, the fan base and maybe them, are trying like really hard to make this something, you know?
Yeah.
In the way that like Gizz is like, I don't know, mate, like I'm going to pick up my harmonica and just like blast on it for a bit. And I'm going to run around circles. And like people seem to be having a good time. And there was no, like, they didn't take themselves seriously at all, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Well, to harken back to the comparison between Fish and King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard and bringing your buddies from Goose at the same time, okay? The way I see it, King Gizzard is Fish 1.0.
Absolutely.
And Goose is Fish 3 4.0.
Yes.
You know, like they're trying to hit on like the dad rock fucking side of a jam band.
Yes.
King Gizzard does not consider themselves a jam band.
Well, that's the other thing I was going to say. I agree. I don't think they do.
They're not a jam band.
They're like, we're not a jam band.
They just like kind of, it's like Ween.
Yeah.
But they do it way better.
Yeah.
Ween has written a lot of music.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like those guys just like are crapping music out every fucking day and they can't stop. And people are addicted to that. They love the weirdness of Ween. And it's the same kind of thing. The one thing that I thought of when I was at the show was like, if Frank Zappa was born at the same time as these guys, he'd be in this band. Like, they have that same, like, Zappa just did whatever the fuck he wanted, but he was pushing the boundaries. Yes, he was so composed. The songs that he wrote were so intricate, but he was also not following anybody's lead. He was doing his own thing. When everybody else was going left, he was going right, and then fucking down through the floor and up into the sky and all around. Like, he didn't give a fuck. And people latched onto that. And I think, like, Ween is kind of similar. And King Gizzard has just modernized it using all these modern instruments and these samples and these synthesizers, and they all are so cross talented using different instruments, and sometimes they're in sync and sometimes it seems like they're not, but they actually are. Like they're just doing shit that you don't expect. And I think that's another element that's so exciting, is like, even though they're playing heavy power chord, weird voice altering madness, it just seems like even if they're not trying to do it, they're like making people laugh. But maybe they are trying to make us laugh, because it's like so fucking weird and funny.
Another band that I think can get thrown into that like cocktail of comparison and influence is the Flaming Lips.
Yeah.
The Flaming Lips is like pure, unadulterated psychedelia. Some of it's weird, some of it sucks, some of it's awesome. But like, I don't know if you guys have seen them live. It's wild. It is a breathtaking experience, and they made a ton of music.
Yeah.
And these guys, I mean, like Gizzard, they're like 30, I think, give or take a few, and they've made like 25 albums. Like that's unprecedented, in today's world where you're so like, kind of handcuffed by the record labels and what they expect from a touring and marketing perspective. Like, the Stones used to, record an album every 25 minutes. But I mean, these guys seem like a bunch of best friends who love getting into a room together, making music, recording it, going on a journey. It might be good, it might be bad, it might be weird. They don't really care. They had enough buddies who like to hear them play that music, and I'm sure they were playing like, backyard keg parties in Australia. And then they realized, like, hell, we could just go do this on stage, have a ton of fun, be authentic, be ourselves, be weird, and get paid by a ton of people to go see it. Jack, that comp you had to like Fish 1.0 and Goose being Fish, 4.0 is awesome. And yeah, I mean, I spent so much time over the last couple of days trying to like figure out what the comp was. And I think, Ween, Flaming Lips, like there's so many of these Primus for sure. Like these weird bands that feel so authentic and like never really like a band like Ween, a band like the Flaming Lips. Like these are awesome bands that like probably if they had played the game better, they were obviously massive rock bands, but like could have been even bigger, but they like stayed true to who they were and just were totally content with the fans that they had and, the schedule that they had and the music that they were making. And it seems like they're really going down that path. Like I can't see these guys ever, I hate to use the words like quote unquote selling out, but which like I could see other jam bands going that route. But they're just so incredibly weird. And I thought my takeaway was going to be, wow, I agree these guys are weird and they're onto something unique, but like not for me musically. But I was completely shocked at how much I liked the music. Now that said, I don't think I'm going to go back and like, I haven't listened to a minute of King Gizzard since the show. Have you guys? Like I'm not like itching. And I had a 16-hour drive to Colorado. I didn't put it on for a minute, but I think about that show like constantly. So that's interesting too,
I listened to some of their albums more now that I knew, like I looked at the set list and I was like, okay, that song. And then I also was listening to the Red Rocks that's up on Bandcamp and stuff. And it was, there's stuff I really like that. When that guy, I don't know his name, but when he came up on the pool, the edge of the pool, quote unquote,
the keyboard
player guy, and was singing that song at the end, like crooning into the microphone, but through like a distorted thing. Like it was, his voice was distorted, but he was like, it was like Lawn Boy-esque. Okay. Like it had a little bit of that, like, here he comes out in front of everybody with the microphone, but like in a completely different way. And then he like runs back and they rage another 18 minutes of this song. And then they, they're just having so much fun. They're just like, one more time, and then like, they're just like doing it again. And I loved the ending was so genuine. Like they didn't want to leave the stage, and they were like, this is so fucked. They let us play here. This is like, I can't even believe it. Like, what's going on? And they were like, I don't want the tour to end. They were all on stage forever. And I love that it was like 1 3 hour set, or, you know, how we think that a lot of their sets are smaller sets. You know, they're not doing the set 1, set 2, encore BS. Like,
just power through
just
it.
because you're supposed to, right?
You're not allowed to go take a piss.
Yeah, they were making fun of each other for going to take pisses in the middle of the thing. The guy comes out and he's like, "Oh, I already have to go pee." You know,
Yeah,
like,
that was funny.
dude, they were so funny and so genuine, and like, I didn't want them to leave the stage.
What do we think Trey really loves about this band? Because they're his favorite band.
Dude, Fish 1.0. Okay, Fish 4.0 is the result of obviously all the history, pushing themselves. You know, the fact that they're 60, like, you know, like where we are now is obviously an evolution of where we started. Fish, I mean, think of Fish 1.0, dude, playing backyards, playing barbecues, playing nectars, playing small clubs, putting a guy in a muumuu, giving him a vacuum cleaner, just shredding random shit, writing Fluffhead, you know, like singing songs about the dumbest stuff ever and just fucking laughing the entire time. That's what he loves about these guys.
Yeah.
They're fresh as fuck.
It must be nostalgic for him.
It's what he wanted. I mean, that's what Fish was in the beginning. It's like, man, we did that 40 years ago. We were kind of like these guys. Like, good for them.
Yeah. Totally agree. I think having, like, you listen to all those old Fish interviews and you watch everything you can about them, like, the one thing that Trey always says repeatedly is just how much fun they had and how funny it was. Like, everything was a joke to him and Fishman. Yes. Everything. And I think it's after seeing them live and experiencing it, it's the sense of humor, and then the sheer musical talent. I mean, just is extraordinary. And I think Trey probably appreciates it as something that, like, is unmatched. But yeah, the sense of humor that they have with each other, with the audience, which is very visible in the music too, it reminds me, not that I was there in like the early 80s, but it definitely is, you know, in probably many ways in Trey's mind, like an ode to what they experienced. And, you know, there's like this very cavalier nature to it. And that's the way Jerry was too with the Dead. You know, Jerry's whole thing is just like, come on a trip with us. It'll be fun. It'll be different. And, you know, you're free when you're with us. And that, you know, I think Trey appreciated that. And it seems like these guys really don't give a fuck about anything except for making each other laugh and making good music. And that, which was pretty cool.
Yeah, like they're at that point in their career where like shit is starting to take off. Mm-hmm. They're still doing whatever the fuck they want to do,
and they're getting away with it.
Yeah. It's like Fish in the early 90s, where they would just like go into a room. Half the people had never fucking seen them before, but they'd heard shit. They're getting dragged along by a friend. You got to see these guys. They're gonna do shit like you've never fucking experienced before, you know. But now, like, Fish has progressed, and I'm not saying into a bad place. You know, they're in a great place, but they've evolved along a similar path where they're older. They're trying maybe to appeal to the, you know, growth of their demographic and themselves, and they've changed. They're older, more mature individuals, and I guess like Fishman, you know, flashing the audience and playing a vacuum and singing Cracklin' Rose is not like what they feel like doing anymore. Right. And like, I think kind of the same thing happened with the Dead, where like after 20 years, it just became like not a chore, but that's why Jerry was playing so many solo shows, and maybe that's why Trey is trying to play so many solo shows, and Mike is going off and doing solo shows, because there's like a formula that they fit into now where they've got to like they feel like they maybe need to satisfy their audience, and so, you know, they're going out and doing their solo thing and doing whatever the fuck they want. And King Gizz, Trey's looking at that and he's like, man, if only I was 27 again, and we were just like in bumfuck nowhere, and I could just fucking do whatever the fuck I want, and maybe it would get recorded, maybe not, but only 1,000, 5,000 people would know about it. You know? I totally get now why
Yeah.
this is Trey's favorite band. Because, like, it's nostalgia for him.
Mhm.
It's like that, hitting that element, I think, for a lot of us, you know, who are just like, fucking A. Yes, do whatever the fuck you want. Don't give a shit about us.
Well, and what you said about, you know, Goose being Fish 3.0, 4.0, it's like, yeah, like number one, it's like with these guys, you get the sense that they were playing in like backyard barbecues and then small clubs and just showing up to have a fun time, right? Whereas with the Goose, it's like, hey, what happened? Oh, we got like catapulted into like the circuit somehow, right? Like Chat GPT like spit us out and like here we are, right? And we're gonna entertain you, you know? And then like also there's, you know, like on there are like controversies already. Like they're already like when they do stuff, it's like, oh, they're like their fans get all bent. Like people are already getting themselves pretzel bent out of shape about Goose. And these guys have just started playing. Like they're like 5 years old. And I know again, that's probably not the right number, but like, you know,
Yeah.
like they only started really hitting in the last sort of 5 years, let's say. And they're or less, right?
Less.
And like I just feel like they're worried about making wrong moves. Their fan base is already on them about like how you're supposed to do it. There's all this like etiquette and culture baked in and expectation that I found like so refreshing. Like Gizzard's just up there like there's no expectations. I didn't feel any, right? There's no like this is how you do it. This is how you're at the rail. This is how you line up to get tickets. This is how the poster line works. This is how like there's none of that. It's just like it just seemed like a good time, and they felt like really free up there, and I'm here for it.
Yeah, I agree. It felt extremely welcoming. Like that is obviously a rabid fan base, but you look around, first of all, like other than the fact that everybody was white, it was pretty eclectic, right? I mean, there's old people, young people, heady people, you know, fresh looking people. It wasn't like at Goose, I felt like everyone was like a 24-year-old frat boy. And I also think to your point, like, yes, there is a tremendous amount of like forced branding going on with Goose. Yes. It's like, we're going to create gooseness and we're going to create like all of these like little kitschy things to try to like force a brand onto you when like the truth is Goose is good. Like those shows are fun and the music's good. And if you went about it slightly more organically, like Gizzard has, like you'll come to that realization yourself, and then the fans are going to be the one that create that like culture and ethos and almost like pseudo religion like they have over the years with Fish, right? Like Fish wasn't the one making all of that stuff up. It was like the hordes of fans that did it over the years and made it happen. And, you know, Fish definitely enjoyed it and partook in it, but and as Gizz seems to. But I agree. They are so incredibly authentic, and they don't seem to care at all about forcing their music onto you. They're like, come see us do this weird thing. If you want to be a part of it, great. If you don't, thanks for coming, but we're coming back and we're going to rock your fucking dick off again. And I thought it was so cool. I can't remember ever experiencing anything like that.
Dude, and they lovingly, like at the end, the last thing the keyboardist guy said, he was like, "See you later, suckers," you know. And he and also I think he called like the fans weirdos at one point. He's like, "Look at all you weirdos," you know, like in such a loving way, like in this, you know, in just like a really self-aware, loving way. Not as I loved it. Like they were teasing the fans. They know. I mean, you're right. Everything you said, Sean, is like completely true. It was so refreshing. It really, I remember telling someone it kind of like reinvigorated my faith in the jam band scene, even though, Jack, I don't think that they do consider themselves a jam band. But, you know, it's like, oh, we got Fish, and they are near and dear to a lot of our hearts. You know, we have, obviously, everyone's been on Dead & Co. summer tour, you know, rocking that out on its, you know, kind of riding that pony around one last time, you know. Then it's like you said in the beginning, Sean. Okay, string cheese, like I don't know, you know. Okay, widespread, sure, you can still have a good time at a widespread show. You know, Disco Biscuits is doing a West Coast tour. You know, like, but what's new? Like, these are bands that I saw 20 years ago, you know, and I don't know what's new. And then Goose was new, and that felt invigorating, sort of, but it left me not 100% satiated.
It's just like younger guys playing the same
music.
Steez.
Right, whereas Gizz is like, oh shit, like people are doing cool stuff in music, and I love it. It really reinvigorated my faith and that like there's cool stuff happening.
And I think that is exactly why, like, if you think about, like Deadheads, okay? Fish came along and they were so fucking weird.
Yeah.
And like some Deadheads were like, whoa, this is fucking weird and awesome. Completely different music. Like, that's why there has been so much like bad like Deadheads who didn't get into Fish are like, why the fuck are you comparing this band with my band?
Mm-hmm.
They're not the same. It's just, as King Gizz said on that recent interview, like, there is just that cross between the fans.
Right. The Venn diagram of the fan base.
The Venn diagram of the fan base, and it's the same with Fish. Their music is completely different, but it just so happens that it's those same people, that same mentality, who want cool, weird, new shit.
Yeah, it's cheeky, it's fun.
It's different.
Yeah.
It's not just like going through that same formula, as you said, like, all right, we're going to start this song, we're going to have a really cool verse, we're going to peak it up, we're going to bring it up, we're going to have the chorus, and we're going to explode, we're going to jam it out even more, and then we're going to seg into the next one. And it's great. I really enjoyed seeing Goose.
Me too.
And I really enjoyed seeing Twiddle and Pigeons playing ping pong. All these jam bands. Mm-hmm. They all do fun shit.
Mm-hmm.
That's my style of music. King Gizzard and Lizard Wizard style is not my traditional style of music, but that ain't saying I don't fucking love it.
I can't wait for them to come back.
Yeah. Because I think it's just like, same, like that break off of the Dead community that liked Fish, that were different. They wanted something different. Didn't say they didn't love the Dead anymore. They just like something different. Some people get stuck in the old ways and never want to move forward. And some people want to move forward and listen to the new, cool, do weird shit kind of vibe.
The other thing, having said reinvigorated my faith, the other thing is, I've been struggling with why I had a good time at the Goose Show, but why they haven't, am I jaded? We talk about it. Oh, I'm just a jaded Fish fan, and I don't like Goose,
Mm-hmm.
Whereas, going to King Gizz, I was like, oh, shit, these guys are awesome. I'm not a jaded, only Fish fan. I don't see the world only through those lenses, Because, I'm on board. I can't wait for them to come back. I've been telling people all weekend, it's such a fun show.
Super fun, super unique, and so fucking different. I agree. It's like Goose is like, you go on a Fish run and you haven't quite gotten your fill. Like, you could get a couple peaky jams and it's super fun, but you're just kind of filling a cup that's already 80% full. Whereas, you're drinking something entirely different when you go to a Gizz show. And I definitely, is it cool to call them Gizz? I don't even know.
I don't know.
You don't care. But yeah, man, that, Jack, to your point, it's just so, Fish was cheeky, they were weird, and the music was definitely different. Gizzard is cheeky and weird, and the music is definitely different. It's not just kind of a manifestation of, Goose clearly idolized Fish, and they're trying to replicate that experience in a lot of ways, and they have in certain ways, and that's cool. But I think the parts of it that they haven't replicated is the uniqueness in the weirdness and the fun and the creativity, and that's what Gizzard's doing, and bringing different genres of music into it that are so there was that one Egyptian funk song when he started. Obviously there was a Beastie Boys and Rage element to it, which was when that happened, I think everyone kind of looked at each other and they're like, oh shit, this is different. This is wild.
Yeah, and they have some hip hop mixed in there.
Yeah, very cool.
There's the before Gizz and there's the after Gizz. And we entered into the after Gizz of our lives.
I'm so happy to have seen Gizz. Thanks for... encouraging me to come. I was on board, but then there were a few days before I was starting to waver. I'm so glad I went.
Yeah.
Shout out
Likewise.
to Josh Griffin, who really got it across the finish line.
Yeah. And Mark Bloom, who's been sending me different Gizzard tracks to listen to get warmed up and get converted, and everybody's been doing their part.
I think we have to shout out Mitch, who's traveling to Europe to see Gizz and basically forced his 20 closest friends in the world to come to this show at the Hollywood Bowl with him. So shout out, because I put a lot of pressure on him at that little barbecue we were at before the show. I said, everyone's either going to be wildly disappointed in you and you're going to lose all credibility, or this is going to be a big night for Mitch. And it turned out to be a pretty big night for Mitch. I think universally everybody had a similar vibe after the show as we clearly had. So shout out to old Mitch.
I think next time I see King Gizz, I'm going to have to wear a wizard hat.
Yeah.
I mean, I've worn a cape to a Fish show. But
a sequined cape.
I'm going to have to wear one of my legit capes.
Yeah, this is like a real cape.
That's allowed.
I saw a few wizards.
I saw some wizards. And there was also furries.
There were furries. Sean, dude, thank you so much for coming on. I'm glad that your hot take was sort of aligned with ours. It made it for a very good conversation. I'm glad we all
Thanks
feel
for
the
having
same
me,
way.
guys. Yeah, no, likewise. It would have been really weird if I hated it, because we would have just spent the whole time fighting with each other. But no, thanks for having me. This was a lot of fun, and let's go see Gizz with our wizard hats on, or I'll just dress up as a lizard. We're gonna need a lizard too.